Good morning to everybody. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Nabil. Good morning to everyone. We will be waiting some couple of minutes until everybody joins. Mr. Ahmed Hussain thinks I see we have we have you into screens, but all good. So while everybody joins, I'd like to welcome you to our first webinar session featuring the country Yemen on our webinar series, Sustainable Microfinance in the MENA region. We're very happy to be here with you today. My name is Natalia Real Pecarrillo. I am Director of Edera Sustainable Solutions, a social tech company based in Berlin, specialized in green microfinance and impact data management, developing digital solutions for microfinance stakeholders. Today with me, I have a very special curated session hosted by the Yemen Microfinance Network together with Edera and financed by Sanad Fund for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Technical Assistance Facility, represented by Mrs. Katerina Martin. And we will be having a series of presentations from the Microfinance Network, as well from the microfinance institutions, an investor and key expert consultant, having an overview of the opportunities, challenges, and trends in Yemen and its microfinance, its sustainable microfinance sector. With this start, and while people are waiting, I will be sharing my screen.
Recording in progress.
For those and for the co-panelists, please turn off your microphones while you are not talking.
Okay.
And you are welcome to turn on your cameras for this initial part of the webinar. Also for the participants, it will be great also to see you and to say hello. And as well, you are welcome to turn on your cameras and audios while when you would like to participate in the questions. So please let me know if you are looking at my screen, the right one.
Yes.
Yes, with the notes or the full screen?
Without notes.
Very good. So this is our first session of our webinar series that goes from 6th of September until October 18. This session we have done it in partnership with the Yemen Microfinance Network, and our media partner is the FinDev Gateway that will be accompanying us throughout the webinar series and be publishing the webinars and announcements in the English, Arabic, and French portals. So you are welcome and invited to keep up visiting the FinDev Gateway portal to know what is the next and upcoming sessions. Some quick housekeeping informations or information important. We have different translations, interpreters that will be accompanying the session today. For those that need interpretation in Arabic, please click on the language Spanish. And we are having as well French interpreter and from English to Arabic. For the case the panelists will be speaking in Arabic, then we invite our guests to turn on their interpretation and to join the interpretation into English. You're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat and feel free to ask questions. And to the speakers, please mute yourself when you are not speaking so that there are not interferences while everybody talks. Today, we have as hosts Mr. Hisham Al-Haimi from Yemen Microfinance Network, Mr. Hani Al-Faki as well from the Yemen Microfinance Network. And first, we will have an introduction from Katia Morton from Finance in Motion for the Sanad Fund for MSMEs Technical Assistance Facility. I will be your moderator of the session today and throughout with the webinars. So welcome from my side. As speakers, we are having Mr. Bandar Al-Dadwi from Al-Amal Microfinance Bank, Mr. Mustafa Al-Ahdal from Al-Ittihad Microfinance Program, Dr. Ahmed Hussain from Shemonix Egypt Consultants, and Mr. Ahmed Baisa from Social Fund for Development. We will be starting with an introduction from Dr. Ahmed Hussain. Then we will see the experiences from both microfinance institutions, first from Al-Amal Microfinance Bank, and then from the Al-Ittihad Microfinance Program. And we are closing the inputs with Mr. Ahmed Baisa. Afterwards, we will have some dedicated 20 minutes for discussion with the participants. And as you see, it is a meeting in Zoom, so you can turn on your microphones, your videos, connect with each other, talk in the chat, and use this opportunity to exchange with others. With this, we are going into the opening of the webinar, and I'm giving the floor to Katia Morton.
Thank you very much, Natalia, and welcome to this webinar on sustainable microfinance in Yemen today from our side as well. The webinar series is supported by the Sanad Fund for MSME Technical Assistance Facility. So we are very happy to welcome all of you here today. And I would like just to say a few words about the fund and its facility and what we do. The fund finances micro, small, and medium enterprises in the Middle East, North and Sub-Saharan Africa, fostering economic development and job creation in the region. Our technical assistance facility works together with our partners to conduct projects to help them providing the tools to serve entrepreneurs in the region, and also works with the sector and develops the capacity of the financial sector across the region. And we also work in some cases directly with entrepreneurs. On the technical assistance facility side, we have several focus areas to help us promote entrepreneurship and MSME development in the region. And you can see them here on the screen, with sustainability being the first topic, female empowerment, agricultural, finance, and digitalization. Sustainability is one of important topics for us, and promoting sustainable finance practices is an important part of our mission to support growth and employment, to encourage innovation and build inclusive ecosystems. And through our sustainability program, we aim, or the TAF aims to strengthen the ability of our partner institutions and MSMEs to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change, to continue deliver economic value and growth in the region. Under our sustainability program, we focus on both sector level activities and partner MSME level support. On the sector level, our efforts focus on raising awareness and facilitating knowledge exchange on the topic, and then on the partner MSME level, helping institutions build foundational knowledge, and again on the topics of and you can see them here on the screen. We focus on 4 topics, which are sustainable strategy development, sustainability strategy development, agricultural, sustainable agriculture, climate risk management, and also ESG monitoring and compliance. So today's webinar on sustainable microfinance in Yemen, as Natalia mentioned, kicks off our webinar series that will be conducted in 7 MENA countries, and is also one of the outcomes and recommendations of the assessment of the level of understanding of sustainable finance among MFIs in MENA that we conducted last year. So the results will be also presented and discussed today, and I'll wrap up here and wish everyone a fruitful discussion and hope you find it beneficial. So thank you very much, and I'm handing over back to you, Natalia. In case of any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or my colleague, also Almudena, who is here on the call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katia, for that introduction. I'm also leaving here contact data and well, an opportunity to thank Almudena Marquez, also from Sanad Fund for MSMEs, Finance in Motion, who has been supporting and collaborating in the design of this project and bringing together the whole implementation that is needed, working together with the 7 local partners. Now we are coming back to our presentation, and I'd like to give the word to Mr. Hisham Al-Haimi from Yemen Microfinance Network, who will be sharing with us an overview of the Yemen Microfinance Network and how is it achieving sustainable finance in Yemen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Natalia. I'm very happy to be here, and I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar. We're very glad that to kick off the series of webinars for the MENA region, and we kicking off with Yemen as the first session. Of course, I will be giving you a brief introduction on Yemen Microfinance Network and the work we've been doing and how we're working on achieving sustainable finance in Yemen. A very important topic. It's crucial that we have an overall discussion on this topic through the experiences of our different partners and stakeholders, especially the Amal Bank and Ittihad Microfinance Program. First of all, about why Yemen. Yemen Microfinance Network is a non-profit organization. It was co-founded in 2010 with a joint partnership between UNDP and the Social Fund for Development to act as a national microfinance association for microfinance practitioners in Yemen. It's a member-based organization, includes 5% of the microfinance institutions operating in Yemen. And of course, our membership includes all the banks, foundations, companies, and programs, and other stakeholders in the sector. Next slide, please. So basically, Yemen works on 3 important pillars that through which it provides its services to the microfinance institutions in Yemen. We have 3 primary areas of work. We have the training and capacity building, which includes the Microfinance Online Academy, and we have a specialized training and capacity building unit. Secondly, we have research and development unit, which provides microfinance assessments and different microfinance researches and studies that are conducted in relation to the microfinance sector in Yemen, as well as the development of financial products and financial development for the different institutions. And thirdly, we have PMU units, which works on different development projects and microfinance related interventions. And I would like in the next slides to discuss more deeply in regards to the PMU unit in terms of the work that has been done. Of course, in late 2017, we had a microfinance client compensation project. This is one of the projects that Yemen's PMU unit worked on in November 2017 and continued until April 2022. This project was basically part of the YECRP project. It was funded by the World Bank and UNDP, and through the Social Fund of Development, who is the primary donor for Yemen activities. So the project basically focused on providing in-kind support to beneficiaries and paying off the remaining installments. The beneficiaries of this project were microfinance clients who were affected by the war directly or indirectly, and they were successful income-generating businesses and entrepreneurs, but due to the current war in Yemen, their businesses were lost and they were not able to resume working on their income-generating activities. So this project was an intervention which provided the support they needed in order to restore their business. So what we did is that we have a database of clients from microfinance institutions who were successful business owners, but they lost their businesses. So the support that was provided, of course, it's not direct cash, but rather an in-kind support. So we provided them with different either assets or equipment or repairs in order for them to restore their business and start working again to have income-generating activities. And of course, the other side of the support was paying off the remaining installments on their loans that they obtained through the microfinance institution. As you can see here in the slide, just a short summary on the classification of the beneficiaries. So we had 30% of them were urban, so most of them were in the cities, and we had 39% rural areas, and 31% of them were from the youth. So this classification of beneficiaries shows us the segmentation of the beneficiaries who were supported by this business, by this project. The second one is, of course, the gender distribution. As you can see, that 54% were males and 46 were females. In the next slide, I will just give you a brief description on how the process of the project, the implementation of the project. So first step was the client information and verification. So we obtained the database through the SFD, and we double check the information provided on their business, on how successful it was, their location, their address, and their ability to actually go back to work on their business. After that, we have the two-side support that is being provided. First of all is the procurement of the assets and equipment or repairs for their business. And of course, this disbursement aspect to cover the remaining loan installment. And then after that, we have the monitoring and evaluation, which lasted for 18 months. So after dispersing the support to the beneficiaries, we monitored and evaluated their progress for 18 months. Now, this is where the sustainability and the social and economic impact happens. So the project showed that this kind of intervention, this kind of support enabled these beneficiaries to go back to become productive members of society and provide income for themselves and their families. In this slide, you can see the performance of the businesses after they were supported. As you can see, 34% showed excellent performance after receiving the support, and they resumed to work with tremendous determination in their businesses. 26% were good and 22 were medium. Only 5% of the beneficiaries who received the support were struggling, and 13% only stopped. This is important to mention here, is that this showed that whenever there is a chance to provide support and to actually give the members or the beneficiaries a chance to go back to work on productive income-generating activities, they are more willing and more committed to actually work on their businesses. The other side here, what I wanted to show is that how we were able to identify the sustainable and how to measure the sustainability and the impact of this intervention. We highlighted, as you can see here, about 6 indicators which showed how these people were able to cover either living expense, covering loans, covering rental costs, medical services, education, and also other expenses. So as you can see here, almost half of them were for covering either living expense or previous loans, 15% for rental costs, and of course, 2 social indicators here for the access to medical services and education showed between 16 and 17%. So I think this was one of the most, I would say, vital or most important projects that was conducted by YMN in the previous years. Thank you very much. I look forward for the rest of the webinar and wish you all the very best and a very productive session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hisham, for sharing the work and especially the results of that project. We will for sure have a discussion on them during our Q&A after the presentations. I want to remind to Hani to keep only the 5 minutes so that we have time for the other panelists to present. After we have had an introduction from YMN, we will have Mr. Hani Al-Faki presenting the what is the relationship between YMN and Green Finance, the work that they have been performing so far, and open like that being co-host of this webinar. Thank you, Hisham, and welcome, Mr. Hani Al-Faki. Is Mr. Hani Al-Faki? Sorry, I don't have an overview here on the Hisham and Nusaiba. Are you connected with him? If not, I can get started, and then we will give him the turn once I finish my presentation. All right. Nusaiba, yes.
I think Mr. Hani is not joining. You can just continue your presentation.
You can proceed, Natalia.
Yeah, very good.
And then we'll come back to this session.
Good. So I see many familiar faces and names, even if it's a new language for me, Arabic. But we have been together on this topic since a year ago, as we have conducted the study on sustainable microfinance in the MENA region, and especially thanks to the participation of many of the microfinance institutions in Yemen and across the region. So one of the objectives of this webinar series was to get more in-depth on the results of the study while listening to the trends and developments of the sector in country by country. For those that participated in the workshop that we have provided last year, we were showing the results at global level. That means averages from the region, but we didn't have an opportunity to go on the results per country. So now today, this is the opportunity to doing so. I will provide you with an overview of the methodology that we have used, what were the results in Yemen from the participant microfinance institutions, and leave some questions for thought and processing after our session. So the study was conducted from July until October 2022. And during this time, we were collecting through a survey available in English, French, and Arabic information on green microfinance of microfinance institutions. For this study, we had more than 40 organizations participating, as well networks, startups, NGOs, but we have collected at the end up to 43 microfinance institutions, and we're going to focus today on the results from these microfinance institutions that have participated, also considering the service that SFT has provided and also the YMN. So the measuring framework that we will have a look at is the Green Microfinance Penetration Index. When we were posed the question, how are microfinance institutions performing in regards to green microfinance? And yesterday, we were discussing in our webinar the different methodologies and frameworks for assessing environmental performance. We lacked tool or methodology in order to see, is it the performance of the microfinance institutions something that it's that only concerns the institution itself, or does the context as well, the framework where they are working, the country, does it also boosts the capacity and as well giving the floor to microfinance institutions to start their programs. We have heard Mr. Hisham and we will listen from Hani later the work that microfinance networks are doing in this field. So there might be also some enabling conditions, and not are only directly related to the microfinance institutions. So the objective was to understand what is the penetration of green inclusive finance in the region, considering the work of the financial institutions as well as the environment where their work evolves. That means this framework on the survey, for those that remember, those that have directly filled out, as I see many of the participants here attending, we have different sections, and the first one, we are having here 3 dimensions. The first one is enabling environment. That means we are assessing how vital is the context in which the microfinance institution operates in green finance development, and it goes in 4 levels from none up to high, and assessing different indicators. How is the demand for green products and services? Are there regulations in place? Are there partners that have been supporting the sector? And are there dedicated programs in place calling for the participation of microfinance institutions, as we have seen in different continents, that has been the case with multi-stakeholder partnerships. In the case of Yemen, we have from these microfinance institutions that have participated, we have anonymized here their results just for data protection. But what we wanted to show, the overview is that most of the institutions were affirming that there is some programs in place. There have been partners that have supported microfinance institutions, as we have heard before, as well as dedicated programs, but we will still see some barriers in terms of the demand and as well of the types of regulations that will be in place, as here some institutions indicated. On the next dimension, we see the dimension of execution. We are assessing here how is the environmental strategy and the risk management of microfinance institutions, if they are implementing an environmental policy and risk management procedures. So here we are assessing, we have asked institutions if they have a mission and vision, how are their business and aspirations, if they have an institutional commitment to implementing an environmental strategy, how is the reporting, if they are doing so within their organizations, how is the risk management at the institutional level and as well at client level. Do they recognize that there are environmental risks, or how are they managing them, those of their clients? Here, what we see is a larger, higher scores in terms of the execution compared to those of the enabling environment, meaning that there are institutions that have been advanced in the definition of their environmental strategy. We have heard also in the workshop experiences from National Microfinance Yemen Foundation on the implementation of sectorial tools as the Green Index in order to develop their environmental strategy. And as well, there are institutions that are addressing or are aware of the risks that the institution has by themselves and as well of their clients. Lastly, we are, I see here, we have the dimension of offer, which is, are there institutions offering green finance products or non-financial product services? And we are assessing how is their offer in terms of those financial products, the outreach that they have, and as well of their non-financial services, if they're providing trainings, capacity buildings, sessions, awareness raising campaigns, and the same, the levels of assessments are from beginner up to advanced. In this case, for Yemen, and this was the largest and the highest of the scores. So from the three dimensions of evaluation, the offer of the microfinance institution was high, meaning there are already green products in place. We will be listening to microfinance institutions, and as well of non-financial services capacity building programs. Let's dig in now on the results. What is the context, or what we're having a look at? In the context, we were asking if there is a specific regulation in place that obliges organizations to take action on environmental protection, if there are recommendations that benefiting organizations in order to take action in environment protection, and if there are green microfinance programs in which you would like to participate. Institutions didn't know about these programs, but some institutions, one institution mentioned that they know and they wanted to participate. But most of the institutions said that there is no regulation in place or program, and that's where this enabling environment decreased the score. On terms of strategy, we see from 2 to 3 up to 5 institutions having a strategic plan, incorporating environmental protection, having a person in place, reporting on their performance to board and investors, and reporting to institutions, reporting to the public on their results. As well, institutions were aware of the climate risks, very few of them. They were mentioning torrential rains, limited access to water, heat waves, droughts, limited access to energy, cold waves, tropical cyclones, hurricanes. One institution was mentioned that they are aware of their climate risks that they have as institution, being these heat waves, tropical cyclones, hurricanes, droughts, torrential rains, limited access to water and to energy as their main challenges. Then last but not least, we're going to see the activities related to risk management. And we have here at the level of the institution, what are institutions offering? They are categorizing loans according to an environmental risk assessment and what they are planning to do. And what we see there, the most activity that they're planning is categorizing loans according to environmental risk assessment, performing environmental risk analysis of the loan applications, and performing risk analysis of the institution itself. Yeah. At the level of institution, supporting the clients to develop business, promoting green practices or products. Half of the institutions are implementing that. And most of the institutions are planning to supporting on this activity, preparing clients for extreme climate events, training clients, and offering service to respond to environmental shocks. So this planning can give us an overview of what our institutions ahead for the next years. What are those main challenges? Institutions are mentioning the lack of proper tools, the lack of knowledge, lack of collaborations with stakeholders, and the high complexity of the topic in relation to the environmental protection towards clients. The sorts of funds for green products, institutions are addressing the different types of sources: deposits, results-based finance, international development cooperation, investor credit lines, and governmental programs with one case. The offer in sustainable agriculture, we have microfinance. Most of the microfinance institutions, or all of them, are offering loans for crop production and livestock management, water management, and energy management, half of them. And there are still some organizations offering emergency workshops, relief services, soil management, financial services, and fishery. And about the barriers and what are those challenges, we see the lack of tools, need more support from the government, limited supply of technologies, lack of collaborations, need more support from investors, and or is not profitable. And we wanted to show the differences between mature microfinance institutions and established, so the number of years that they have been in business, and see that still lack of tools and data management is the same for mature and established, so it does not depend on the experience in the market, but rather that it's a challenge that all institutions have. And then on the offer of green financial products, most of the institutions are financing energy technologies, which shows us that despite of or because of some now of the crisis that the civil crisis that you have had, it has opened also an opportunity for microfinance institutions to finance clean energy technologies. We will listen to the cases of the microfinance institutions, how have they grabbed opportunities and what are their offers. But still, we have here some challenges. We need more support from the government. There is lack of demand or lack of training in order to create that demand. There is a limited supply of technologies. We need more partnerships with suppliers, lack of collaboration with other stakeholders, more support from investors is complex to offer these products. And as you remember the climate risk that we were mentioning, still we see that these technologies are not enough for all the climate risks that the clients are facing. So perhaps what we will see as in future action plans is which type, and think about other sustainable agriculture practices and what other clean energy technologies, for instance, in solar water pumping, in order to provide to the microfinance clients. The last two results to share with you are the stakeholders that could support, mentioning all types of stakeholders, and tools knowledge on environmental performance management. None of the institutions did know about these tools. After the training, there was already a knowledge of the different tools that exist. So we have completed here the task on sharing and making awareness raising on the different support of the sector. So with this overview, I'm very happy to have shared with you the results. And we have now our next presentation from Dr. Ahmed Hussain from Chemonix Egypt Consultants, who is going to give us an overview on sustainable finance, capturing the opportunity specifically in Yemen, but also addressing some examples in the MENA region. We will have a section of questions, but please do not hesitate to put your questions in the chat. We're having a lots of inputs today, so do not hesitate as well to discuss. To remember, and I see here a petition to record the session personally. We are recording the session, so you don't need to ask for permission, and we are going to share the materials in English, in French, and Arabic over the website of the event and through our media partner as well. So feel free to take pictures of the screen or take notes or record audio, but be sure that you will receive all the materials. Dr. Ahmed Hussain.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Okay.
hear you. And just to know, because now we're going to start with all our panelists, I will be doing like this or making some sounds if we are over the time. We're approaching the 10 minutes so that we have enough time afterwards for the discussion. Okay.
Sure.
Good.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be part of this learning experience. For me, it's always a chance to learn more, interact more, and I'm especially happy to be in the event hosted by Yemen Microfinance Network. I think the work done there is a true attestament to the resolve and the innovation of microfinance and banking institutions, how they can very strongly contribute to the commercial part of livelihoods, but also sustainable development at its true shape and form, regardless of the topic. So just to go quickly, sustainable finance, like there is always possible to look at good desk definition. But for me, it's finance, which includes environmental and social consideration in a systematic way in investment processes. And this is the key systematic way. I like to believe it is not rocket science. It's not that complex. I come from engineering background, but don't let any technical nerd convince you that this is. It's easier than you think. I think sometimes we tend to get overwhelmed a little bit by the constraints and what is perceived as risk and lack of information, but it's truly good business. You are probably already doing it. And I ask you to believe me on that. Next slide. Basically, just to simplify, like for a financial institution, at least from my simple point of view, to be able to mainstream sustainable finance, it has to look at different aspects: risk, credit policies, overall vision, strategy, internal operation, and also the markets. What type of markets am I financing? Recycling, as you see in the picture, the first picture to the left, schools, education, food production, health centers, energy efficiency, renewable energy. And today I speak to you a little bit more about the market aspects, not the risk criteria, policies, and so on. Next. Okay, what does this mean on the ground? There are 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, but to bring it down in the MENA, this usually comes into your portfolio as education, health, sustainable energy, agriculture, water, food, recycling, digitalization, gender inclusion, and transport. And once we start to speak about these sectors, you realize you are already doing it. You realize like it's part of your operation. These are huge markets. I think um, just to give you a bit of the numbers, for example, North Africa only, I think the slides are a bit more advanced. Yes. So North Africa last year, in 2022, which was a tough year in many markets, there was 2.7 billion USD of medical equipment supplies business. This can come down to microfinance, to a clinic buying a small machine, or also perhaps even taking working capital. The Arab League of Nations countries, they need 40 billion USD to capture the opportunity in solar irrigation. Just to give you a feeling of the size of the market, 30% of that is in the microloans range. Green finance and climate finance are part of sustainable finance. So this is sustainable finance is a big umbrella, but anything you do in water, energy, recycling is also part of that. So you are probably already doing a lot of that in the portfolio regardless of the tag that you put on the lending and earmarking what you are doing against sustainability markets. Next. I will not go deep in there. There's a huge gap, finance gap in sustainable development in general and sustainability markets. The international gap itself is of course, in the MENA, the gap is big, but there is, in the international market, there is maybe 2.5 trillion USD of finance gap projected till 2030 around sustainability markets. So this is untapped markets. If done well, it can be less risky. And also, it is really a business opportunity because there is need. I wouldn't say demand, but there is need. What challenges microfinance institutions face on the ground typically, sometimes limited market visibility. We are not aware of how these SDGs or climate targets or whatever translate into a specific market in my country with its own value chains and dynamics. It takes something to say health is one of the SDGs, climate is one of the SDGs. But once I take climate into efficient irrigation, it becomes more tangible. Once I take health into supplying clinics or medical supplies for a pharmacy or equipping a small clinic, it becomes very tangible. So sometimes we don't have the market visibility. Sometimes we have a higher perceived risk technology-wise. Like, for example, it's very easy to assess like a loan for a small tricycle or like a small agriculture machine. But if we talk about vertical farming system, that the one you see in the picture, top to the right, greenhouse, an electric tractor, for instance, a solar drying unit, there is a risk in the technology or a perceived risk because it's not usually that common in the market. We haven't seen it. This means longer processing time, becomes more expensive. Tracking impact is difficult because in many cases to access more funds and to really position your role as a player in sustainability market, how do you track? How do you say how many students benefited? How many people got better service? I mean, not the simple sense of tracking on what to count, but how? How does this flow from the RM, from the regular processing into your regular operation and reporting? Sometimes some of these technologies, in case of default, we don't know how to salvage them. I can easily sell like a small tractor or a common machine in agriculture, but maybe it's not that easy to sell a PV pump back. Sometimes regulations are not clear. Sometimes these technologies have a higher capex and longer maturity than we are commonly used to in microfinance. Don't want things to sound gloomy, but I'll go one more slide for the challenges as well, and then I'll go to the opportunities. There are some challenges at the client side, maybe lack of awareness and so on. I wouldn't go into details of these challenges because I think we are very aware of them. Now let me go to the possible opportunities and solutions. I think there are best practices emerging in the region. I put some of these best practices that I am aware of or have worked with directly or indirectly just for awareness, but of course this could deserve a whole session. One, we learned that we need to design tailored products. You cannot have a blanket sustainability credit line. You need to have it tailored for drip irrigation, or solar pumps, or solar food drying. You need to have effective market targeting, meaning you precisely know what client segment is going to be most profitable, least risky, and you target it. Strong collaboration with technology provider. We cannot do this alone, from technical assistance to banks, to technology provider, to the client. But the trio of the client, the sub-borrower, the microfinance institution, the borrower or the microfinance institution, technology provider is very critical. Alternative credit risk scoring mechanisms, this can open up opportunity as well as leveraging digitalization and analytics. In the coming few minutes, I will just give some examples of how this can be practical. This is, for example, one product that targets smallholder farmers with National Bank of Egypt that we worked on with the IFC. 2 years running, targeting smallholders, zero non-performing loans, credit line that is growing very much. The key was knowing which type of farmer, which land size, which number of units, which governorate, which area will give you the best results on a clear map. This meant faster processing. 90% of applications that are submitted are accepted. That's because very effective targeting and strong initial screening with a short list of technology providers. For instance, we are currently working on a tawfiq, but it can help a lot if you are in Morocco, if you know that a biogas unit for a farmer that has a small piece of land actually has shorter payback because you also benefit from the compost coming from the biogas unit. We are currently piloting some activities in the next slide with Al Majmoua in Lebanon, a great example of how microfinance can be at the front line. We are looking at risk in a different way. We have piloted some alternative risk criteria that really doesn't look at the client financial case, but it's all tailored around the business and the market case of the client. For instance, where is this farmer getting the seeds from? Where is it getting the compost from? Are they experienced in farming? This is being piloted and it's showing positive results at that moment. Next slide. Yes, this is also a very good example on a partnership with technology provider and a microfinance institution. This is a case where in Egypt, we've worked with a company called Raptor Solar Energy, microfinance company called Highland, where there is a pre-agreed upon risk sharing. So while the microfinance takes part of the risk on the loan, the company gives also a part of the risk and the guarantees in a financial term and channels part of the finance through the company. So the loan, basically part of the risk is going directly at the microfinance institution with the client. The other part is channeled through the solar company that shares part of the risk. This partnership distributes the risk in a better way. It also increases the willingness of the technology provider to play an active role in the process. Next. Templated products, we've worked with the Agriculture Bank of Egypt and MENA on having very systematic processes for processing solar loans, where it went down from taking few months in processing to a couple of days using digital tools. Next slide. Data analytics can really help a lot in swift feasibility evaluation on the spot, detecting anomalies in investments, and so on. Of course, this is a big trend. Next slide. In summary, I believe there is an enormous opportunity in the market ahead, complete market opportunity. There are challenges, we need to be aware of them, but solutions are there on the ground being tried. Avoid a blanket one-size-fits-all approach. Technology providers and the market focus is clear, and I think you really can do it. You are already doing it. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Ahmed Hussain. I think with this overview, and also we have participants from other countries across the region, even ATAFIC participating. We see the different approaches and best practices that institutions can use and learn for their own implementation of green inclusive finance. With that, we thank you for your participation. And now we are giving the floor to Mr. Bandar Mohammed Al-Badvi from Al-Amal Microfinance Bank. We will listen to the sustainable interventions across the different products and services that Al-Amal Microfinance Bank has. And if time allows, by the end, we will like to share a short video of their work, but only after the discussion. If not, it will be also available in the website of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Natalia. And it's very nice to be with all of you today here in this webinar, discussing very important topics. Thank you for Sanad and Hadira for organizing this webinar again. I would give just a quick introduction or idea about EMB work. For those who don't know about EMB, we are the first microfinance institution in MENA region. 2002 we started our work in 2009. We provide a mixture of financial and non-financial services, focusing on limited access groups, vulnerable groups, and also youth, and more in women, also in rural areas. Today, I will discuss more and I will focus about our environmental strategy that we are developing now. As you could see that we started last year by implementing and developing our environmental policies manual. And we tried as much as we could to find and to link all sectors especially for the services that we provide. We linked it as agricultural and energy and banking sector. As you can see, this model will ensure that all the environmental protection methods and implementations are taking in place. As you can see that linking our agriculture, let's say, products and making sure using technology and again providing financial access for rural areas and linking all the, let's say, players for partners and so on. So this is one of the most important model that we are working on, so that we try as much as we can to have an impact assessment after the projects that we're implementing in the future. Next, please. As you could see here, we always think about linking the products and having partnership. We provide solar pumps 100% free. We always try as much as we could to provide these services for our customers for free. I mean, not exactly free, but it's free interest. But we gain our, let's say, profit from our dealers mostly, and also donors. You could see that we provide greenhouses, drip irrigation systems, seeds and fertilizers, agriculture equipment. And our partners are the donors. And also, as you can see, that we support micro grants and marketing and agri events. What we mean in marketing, that we try as much as we could to prepare events to link our customers and farmers and try to share their success stories and link them to the market. We also provide non-financial services, and this is through our subsidiary, Riada, to support entrepreneurs and also to provide training for our employees and also the beneficiaries. We have provided more than 2,900 loans and dispersed for the amount for more than 5.3 million. The farmers we targeted is more than 1,913, and solar system dealers, we have more than 120 partners. And now we try to educate these partners and dealers to provide a friendly, environmental friendly products. Recently, we have implemented a project partnering with EU and Celatec, targeting more than 18,000 youth. And we are trying, I mean, supporting small and medium businesses. And we try as much as we could to provide the equipment, which is more to be friendly, environmentally friendly products. Here in energy sector, also we have worked with UNOPS, and this is to subsidize and to provide solar lighting units, and also provide training for our engineers and for the dealers' engineers, and also provide free interest loans for electric hybrid cars. Also provide free loans for home and SME solar system. Again, our partnership is donors, dealers, and consultants. Also, we support free loans, reducing also fees. We always try to reduce the fees because most of the time it's challenging, especially with the current crisis in Yemen because of the war. And also we'll provide, again, after-sale services. As you can see here, the numbers, we provide more than 1,900 loans. Also, the amount is more than 2.5, and solar lighting units for more than 20,000 units. And we have now coming project with UNEPS to provide almost 40,000 units. Digital transformation, this is one of the the main important areas that the bank continuously working to improve. Again, with the current crisis, with the liquidity issues, and also moving toward providing the services and access to financial services in rural areas, we try to use the technology. And as you could see here that we have products. One of the products is a BS Mobile Money app. We provide electronic loans. Also, we started providing electronic letter of guarantee. And also through our projects that we implement for cash assistant, emergency cash assistant, we try to again move to or transform to digitalization by using the e-money or payment for e-money. As you could see that the loans we have via BS, and we have also saving accounts, also money transfer, and again, internal operations. Again, internally in our bank, we sought as much as we could to meet the standards of the environmental policies. Next, please. Thank you. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bandar, for this introduction and showing us the work that Al Amal Bank is doing in Yemen. The figures are impressive, and definitely from the leaders in the region, as well the different types of services that you are providing. And I would like to emphasize or underline the approach that you have with partnerships and the services in parallel that you're providing with the clients, that I think are also best practices to further pursue by other stakeholders. So after this experience, we kindly invite as well to Mr. Mustafa Al-Akhdal from Al-Ittihad Microfinance Program, in order to have a look to how are they driving sustainable finance in Yemen through the program. Mr. Mustafa?
Hello.
Hello. For the participants that are listening in English, we will have to, I think Mr. Mustafa will be presenting in Arabic. So you can turn on the interpretation to select Spanish in the languages so that we'll listen to the translator.
شكرا لكم. أنا سعيد جدا بأن أكون معكم في هذه الجلسات النوعية. أعتقد أن هذه سلسلة الجلسات في التمويل الأخضر المستدام هي من الجلسات أو الجوانب المهمة في وقتنا الحاضر. أنا مصطفى الأهدل، ممثل عن برنامج الاتحاد للتمويل الأصغر. برنامج الاتحاد للتمويل الأصغر هو أحد برامج الصندوق الاجتماعي للتنمية، الداعم الرئيسي والمؤسس لها. تم تأسيسها عبر دعم اتحاد نساء اليمن، إذ تعتبر هي الجهة الكفيلة لبرنامج الاتحاد للتمويل. محفظة الاتحاد للتمويل تقدر حاليا بحوالي 1,208,540 دولار، موزعة على عدد عملاء يقدر ب 3,173 عميل. تشكل نسبة التمويلات الخضراء حوالي 40% من محفظة البرنامج. الاتحاد للتمويل الأصغر حديث أو فتي في التمويل المستدام أو التمويل الأخضر. اتجه إلى هذا التوجه بسبب عدد من العوامل أو الدوافع. أولها المسؤولية الاجتماعية التي تفرض على كل شخص يعيش على هذا الكوكب. كذلك ارتفاع كلفة الوقود أو انعدام الوقود، وبالذات في اليمن نعاني من شحة الوقود، وإن يوجد بأسعار باهظة أو أسعار مرتفعة. إضافة إلى ذلك صادف أو توافق مع وجود تقنيات جديدة للطاقة النظيفة بأحجام مختلفة وسعر قد يكون مناسب نوعا ما للفئة المستهدفة. ولكن في الجزئية هذه نحاول نتكلم في السعر الذي أصبح يشكل خطر أو يصنف ضمن المخاطر التي يعاني منها القطاع حاليا، ونتوقع يعاني منه مستقبلا في اليمن، كون سعر المنظومات الشمسية أو تقنيات الطاقة النظيفة يرتبط ارتباط بسعر الدولار مقابل الريال اليمني، وهذا يشكل عائق أو مخاطر بالنسبة لمستخدمي الطاقة النظيفة. كذلك وجود الاتحاد للتمويل الأصغر في بيئة زراعية تشكل نسبة الزراعة نسبة كبيرة من تواجد النطاق الجغرافي للاتحاد. هذا دفع الاتحاد للتفكير في إيجاد وسائل لاستخراج المياه الجوفية للمزارعين، واستخدام تقنيات التقطير، واستخدام شبكات الري المحسن للمزارعين لتخفيف الفاقد من الماء. كذلك وجود أنشطة زراعية، أنشطة تجارية وخدمية تفتقر إلى مصادر الطاقة، سواء للأشخاص أصحاب المشاريع الجديدة أو المشاريع القائمة والتي توقفت بسبب عدم وجود مصدر للطاقة. ما هي التمويلات الخضراء التي يقدمها الاتحاد للتمويل؟ الاتحاد للتمويل اهتم بشكل كبير بالقطاع الزراعي، سواء على مستوى المنظومات الشمسية واستخراج المياه الجوفية، أو على مستوى المنظومات الشبكات الري بالتقطير وبناء الخزانات. مول كذلك الطاقة الشمسية أو مصادر الطاقة لتشغيل الأنشطة المدرة للدخل للعملاء، كما مول الطاقة النظيفة الاستخدام المنزلي والتعويض الفاقد من كهرباء الشبكة. الإحصائيات أو ما الذي يحتاجه ما الذي قام به الاتحاد من إحصائيات، وكم عدد العملاء، وكم يقدر احتياجهم من الوقود. بالسلايد الآخر يقدر عدد العملاء الفردي الذي مولهم الاتحاد للتمويل بأنظمة طاقة نظيفة ب 612 عميل. تقدر نسبة النساء منهم 366 عميلة. هذه العملاء أو العدد 612 عميل كان احتياجهم من الوقود خلال كل شهر يقدر 600 تقريبا لتر من الوقود الديزل. الفترة التي مول بها الاتحاد هؤلاء العملاء هي 24 شهر أو سنتان، ويقدر احتياجهم من الوقود بحوالي 8,812,800 لتر احتياجهم من الوقود، بمعنى أن كلفتهم تقدر كلفة احتياجهم من الوقود $8,812,800 أمريكي خلال 24 شهر. أعتقد هذا الرقم رقم كبير جدا، وأعتقد أن الاتحاد ساهم في التخفيف عن هؤلاء العملاء من خلال تمويله لهذه الشريحة من الناس. مثل ما تحدثنا سابقا، 8,812,800 لتر هي الاحتياج من الوقود لهذه الفئة. بافتراض ان كميه ثاني اكسيد الكربون هي 0.8 لاحتراق كل لتر من الوقود، وكميه الماء المنبعثه من احتراق كل لتر من الوقود هي 2 لتر تقريبا. فاذا احتسبنا ثاني اكسيد الكربون المنبعث نتيجه احتراق هذه الكميه من الوقود في حال ان الاتحاد لم يمولها، فنتكلم عن 7,314,624 كيلو جرام من ثاني أكسيد الكربون سيطلقها في الغلاف الجوي، إضافة إلى 14,629,248 لتر من الماء سيطلقها احتراق هذه الكمية من الوقود في الغلاف الجوي، وهذا كله سيساهم هذه الانبعاثات ستطلق في الغلاف الجوي وستساهم في ارتفاع الاحتباس الحراري وزيادة التغيرات المناخية. الاتحاد للتمويل الأصغر مول بالريال اليمني تقريبا قيمة المنظومات الأنظمة الشمسية التي مولها الاتحاد تقريبا في بالدولار 2,269,872 دولار أمريكي هي قيمة المنظومات التي مولها الاتحاد للتمويل لهؤلاء العملاء. ما الذي ترتب على هذا التمويلات التي مولها الاتحاد للتمويل؟ وفر العملاء ما يقارب 8,542,928 دولار أمريكي، فارق بين ما كلفة الوقود وقيمة التمويلات التي منحت تمويل للعملاء. في الجانب الاقتصادي أو في الحياة المعيشية وفر العملاء 8,542,928 دولار أمريكي كان سيخسرها هؤلاء الفئة من مصادر دخلهم في الحصول على الوقود. وإذا تحدثنا عن العوائد أو الفوائد البيئية المترتبة على قيام الاتحاد للتمويل بتمويل هذه الفئة، فسنتحدث عن 7,314,624 هي كمية ثاني أكسيد الكربون بالجرام الناتجة عن احتراق الوقود التي كانت ستطلق في الهواء والتي ساعد الاتحاد في الحد من انبعاثها. كذلك ساهم في الحد من انبعاث 14,629,248 لتر من الماء المنبعث في الغلاف الجوي. هذه مساهمة الاتحاد من خلال منحه لتمويلات الطاقة النظيفة. من خلال الاحتياج الموجود أو الاحتياج القائم والمتزايد كل يوم للحصول على الطاقة النظيفة، الاتحاد أولى اهتمام كبير في خطته المستقبلية لهذا النوع من التمويلات، حيث خطط لأن يمول خلال العام 2023 و2024 إلى تمويل 109 عميل في كل شهر بمبلغ يقدر 208 مليون ريال يمني. وسيصل تقريبا مبلغ التمويلات خلال ال 24 شهر إلى 3,565,714 دولار أمريكي بقرابة 4,992 مليون ريال يمني خلال العام 2023 و2024. هنا بس لو الأستاذة ناتاليا في جزئية نحن لم نعقب عليها في العرض المرئي، ولكن كان من المهم أن نتطرق لها، لن تأخذ مننا سوى جزء من الدقيقة.
Yeah, we are over the time in order to give space to Mr. Ahmed Baisa. And then also I see we have been having this 70 participants. So if everybody agree and have 10 more minutes to go until, or 15 until 11, until 12:45. So 11:45 Central European time for discussion. Yeah, we can have this one final remark. Mr. Mustafa, one message for the microfinance sector in Yemen.
شكرا. إذا انتهى عرض الاتحاد، وشكرا جزيلا، ونتمنى أن نكون قدمنا معلومات مفيدة للجميع. شكرا.
No, thank you very much. And I think it's it is a very good practice to do all the calculations of what have institutions been financing, what are they avoiding, or how are they contributing to reducing the impact on climate change. And I hope that all the institutions do the detailed exercise in their currency, in US dollars, per liters, per liter of diesel consumed, and then having a more detailed analysis of their impact. I appreciate all the efforts that you have done to share with us your experience. Finally, I'd like to give the word and floor to Mr. Ahmed Baisa. I'd like to emphasize the importance of having this intervention and giving us the floor afterwards for discussion on what are the challenges, what are the needs of the sector, how can we develop actions in order to support microfinance institutions, but also the networks and SFD to further work in green microfinance. Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you, Natalia. Good afternoon and good morning to all. Thank you for this opportunity and great organization of this wonderful webinar. So starting off, Social Fund for Development. Basically, it is an organization that was established in 1997 under a law, and its aim purpose to contribute all of its programs towards the social and economic development. And that's also always towards the poverty reduction, food security, sustainable livelihood, and so on. SFD has three main programs. So the social safety net and transforming livelihoods, and that's where cash forward, cash nutrition, BSLAs come in, community and local resilience recovery, and that's where our training unit comes in, our WASH unit, and so on. And then we have economic resilience and growth program. And that's where we focus through our unit, so the small and micro enterprise development unit, towards economic growth and supporting SMEs through financial and non-financial services. And that's all through financial and non-financial services that we work through our local partners in Yemen. Through the years, we have been developing a lot of programs, interventions that will support the sector itself. And that's always depend on needs or expectation to improve the sector. In the past, for example, 4 years, we have established the YLG, Yemen Loan Guarantee Program, the BSLA intervention, the Microfinance Academy through YMN, and recently the mobile money, and that's to spread financial literacy. Next, please. So before 2015, there was a lot of attempts from different donors to spread green finance or green energy in general. Unfortunately, a lot of those attempts did not achieve the expected outcomes. But after 2015, there has been a huge demand towards green energy, and that's the reason behind, because of the long electric cuts, fuel shortage, and so on. So people became more aware, and there has been a lot of awareness campaigns from different organizations. SFD, we took an action that we only support from our funds. We support SMEs or income-generating activities for sustainable livelihoods. We do not want to see people taking conceptual loans, and that could affect the people in terms of repayment of those loans. We have noticed in those 2016 there has been a huge shift towards agricultural loans, and that's towards solar power, such as solar pumps. People have been moving on away from diesel towards solar pumps, and that reduced their expenses, the pollution, and so on. We ourselves took an action in our agreements with our partners, the MFIs, to be more environmental friendly. We included that in our agreements. We included the IFC's environmental and social exceptions. We're currently taking action in terms of integrating or developing an environmental and social policy within MFIs, and then each MFI would tweak it based on their needs. And that's what Mr. Ahmed was mentioning in the beginning, not a blanket that fits all, but a blanket. We will provide a general blanket, and then each MFI will tweak it according to their needs. We've also introduced
Mr. Baisa, can you come a little bit closer to the computer, because the interpreter are listening a lot of echo.
Sure, absolutely. Is this better?
French, to Roberto Elon, could you please confirm? Let's try it again. Mr. Ahmed, if you can talk closer to the microphone.
Is this better now? I hope so. So we've also introduced new technologies such as mobile applications, and that was one of the reasons also, because we noticed a lot of shift towards agriculture. So we developed an app in assessing the agricultural loans, and this has also raised and reduced costs for MFIs. We currently introduce mobile wallets in rural areas, and the reason to reduce costs for the people, improve the service provided by the different mobile wallet provider in those areas. And we've noticed there is a healthy competition among mobile wallets in terms of providing better services to people in rural areas. And usually rural areas are deprived from financial services, and the reason is the terrain in Yemen is quite tough. We look at it as the Mount Everest just without the snow, and also the high cost associated with it. So most of the time it's not visible for financial providers to enter into rural areas. Next, please. So in the past 7 years or so, in 2016, we noticed there is a huge demand for green loans, and that includes the solar power, solar heaters, and so on. And that's the reason, because of the conflict that was happening in Yemen, the electric shortcuts. So there was a huge demand towards it. And that demand did not reduce, but it has been shifted towards agriculture. People have taken a lot of, or people have a lot of solar power and solar heaters. We've noticed that there are two trends. There is the households, and mainly they will purchase solar heaters and solar power. And then there is the agriculture sector, and that's a different sector in which farmers would purchase, such as drip irrigation, solar pumps, greenhouses, and so on. And that demand has been increasing slightly in the coming years. But when we go to the second slide, please, the second slide, we notice that the amount has been increased. In 2016, it was close to 500 million Yemeni riyals. Now it's close to 3 billion Yemeni riyals. During those years, it's almost 10 billion Yemeni riyals of green loans that has been provided by MFIs. And I'm only referring here to MFIs and loans that are actually provided by SFD. So if we look at the second slide, so the overall loans that we have provided to MFIs was close to 24 billion Yemeni riyals, and with the revolving amounts being paid back by clients, that has been almost tripled to 70 billion Yemeni riyals. 14% of that amount is aimed towards green finance. And we noticed that there is a jump in 2019, 20, and so on. And that's because we have received a good fund from BMZ through KfW, and that has helped in increasing that demand and actually covering part of that demand. Next slide, please. So one of our pioneering project or interventions currently we are doing is the VSLAs, the Village Saving and Loan Stations. So in brief, it's a group of 15 to 25 members that come together, they save, we train them on different aspects, such as entrepreneurship, vocational training, basic accounting, the VSL methodology itself, and they will save for a certain period of time and then they will start obtaining loan. In those periods, we provide them with awareness on, let's say, if they're aiming towards agriculture, we provide them with a different training and different type of technologies and green finance, non-financial services that they could have, and the types of loans that they could, such as, let's say, solar pumps or drip irrigation and so on. We have also noticed that there is a huge demand towards with members starting their own businesses or livelihoods in which they will actually put their kids into school. The health situation at their houses will improve. We've noticed a lot of females who actually went to online courses such as English courses, also computer courses. And that's, I'm referring in very, very rural areas, very tough terrains, where financial services has not been reached yet. Just to share some numbers, we have around 670 VSLA groups, around 14,500 members. And from those members, we have around 3,100 SMEs that has been started, and that's from their own savings. We only provided them with how to fish. We did not give them the fish. And that's from their own efforts. We have been, with our partner at Yemen, spreading a lot of financial literacy, and that's from mobile money. And we're targeting beneficiaries from different SFD interventions, cash for nutrition, and VSLAs. And the way we look at mobile money, it will be a gate for the different MFIs, the different MFI banks operating for them to target those people and provide them with different green microfinance and the different providers and sustaining those MFIs on the long run. We've been also recently with technical support from KfW, building the capacity of MFIs in terms of responsible finance. And that, of course, includes green finance, the different types of criteria. We've noticed that a lot of the MFIs and banks are actually operating and working in that area. It's just the policies are not yet in place or not yet developed to a certain part. Next slide, please. Now that brings us to the challenges and needs of green microfinance in Yemen. One of the main challenges is there is limited green financial products and non-financial services. There has mostly, when we refer to green finance, we look at it as solar pumps, and we look at it as solar energy and how we do not pollute the environment. But it's a more larger scale than that, as Mr. Ahmed actually mentioned in his presentation. And that's where the limitation comes in. And that's where the awareness is needed among the current and potential clients on green microfinance. There is a difficulty also because we try to put people into having their own sustainable livelihoods. And most people in that area are either agriculture or some kind of product or service they would provide. but there is a whole innovative ideas of green businesses that has not been tapped yet. And this is a whole new area that could be opened for the microfinance industry. And I think that could be provided by different providers that are providing different trainings, different awareness campaigns, in terms of the possibilities that can be utilized in that area. And then coming to the final point, and then that's the limited green microfinance in rural areas. And this could be tapped through either VSLAs and probably in the future with microfinance finance institutions to enter those areas. Well, that's all, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raisa. It's very interesting the approach that you are taking, especially I'm very fan about this approach with the saving groups, working together also with the networking capacity building campaigns, which are addressing the challenges that the microfinance institutions were mentioning and having international partnerships from the MSET in capacity building for reaching rural areas. And this transfer also to sustainable agriculture practices are challenges, but also opportunities for the sector. We have, so as we planned, we have 1 hour and a half webinar session, but we would like to listen to you as participants. What are your questions? What are your comments? Is there any concern specifically from microfinance institutions? I have seen also in the chat there has been already some discussions, some answers directly. So if everybody is willing, because I still see very high numbers of participation, that while you are thinking these questions, we give the chance to Mr. Hani Al-Faki to present the work that you are also conducting together with SFD and the work from YMN. And then we have a brief discussion and having our section of Q&A, and then be closing by the hour by 12 p.m. That will be 1 p.m. your time. Is there any objection to this proposal, or should we go ahead? Mr. Hani Al-Faki, would you agree now to present your?
I agree. Thank you, Natalia.
Very good. And to Nabil, to those that are participating in the chat with your questions, keep them here so that we can have later the discussion, that we also open microphones, videos, and listen to you, which is the main objective of this session, but also that we want to see what are the developments in the sector. So this is giving me the time to jump here to the slide. Hani, we are listening to you. 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all attendees and from MENA region and beyond MENA region. I'm sure during this 7 webinars, we're gonna learn a lot of, let's say, green experts secrets. So, but let me first provide some idea for you about where did YMN reach in the green finance field. Yemen Microfinance Network, established with support from SFD, Social Fund for Development, the Microfinance Academy. Microfinance Academy is a platform, is providing e-learning in the field of microfinance knowledge. And lately, in last July, we launched the curriculum of sustainable finance. By the way, I would like to thank Mr. Mustafa Al-Ahdal. He is a trainer for this training. He did a great job, and we have already 29 participants since last July. You know, the Microfinance Academy had 14,000 participants right now. So we already started this curriculum last July, and we hopefully we're gonna reach bigger numbers. Next slide, please. YMN started last year with cooperation with USAID and ERLP and Communix Egypt, the first Green Finance Business Opportunities webinar, and that was at the 3rd of October last year. That was our first step to this field. And after that, we had the next webinar. It was at 6th of October. We had a lot of participants during this webinar. So 2 webinars last year, and this is the 3rd webinar right now. Thank you, by the way, to Finance in Motion and the Sanad Fund. By the way, we would like to thank them as well for providing support to YMN and all MFIs to develop the CMFO2 curriculum, which will be launched next month, hopefully. Thank you again for them. And I would like to thank Ahmed Abdul Mun'im as well. I think he is with us in this webinar, and Mr. Abdul Muhsin. We have as well a very ambitious, plan to include the rules of let's see, the green finance in MFI's code of conduct. YMN had her own code of conduct, and we have around 31 members now who already signed this code of conduct. So we are planning to add some rules to the code of conduct and sign it by all YMN members. That's for to maximize the size of the green finance portfolio in Yemen, hopefully. Next slide, please. YMN has initiated the preparation for AgroMart. AgroMart is a project to support the farmers in Yemen to use the technology to rise the production and the for the square meter, or for the area, area unit. And help them to market this, marketing this, outcomes or have the harvest by using technology and get the best price for it. Of course, we gonna encourage farmers to use technology to reduce the use of water and many green goals. Next slide. Yep. So thank you, and hopefully we gonna keep learn from the 7 webinars.
Yes.
Inshallah.
And looking at the activities that you are doing, you are also giving ideas to other microfinance networks in the region about workshops, webinars, direct trainings, and partnerships that you are doing in all the dimensions of green inclusive finance. Thank you, Hani. And with this, I open the floor to you as participants. As we said, we see familiar participants that have been with us in the past year, addressing the topic of green microfinance. What are your comments, or do you have any question directly for the panelists? I see that there were some questions in regards to the approach from Al Amal Bank. Bandar, while we receive the questions, would you like to explain more from your side on the questions that were posed? if Bandar can listen to me.
Yes, I actually answered a couple of questions, so I'm not sure.
For those that cannot read in Arabic or that haven't followed chat, let us know what.
Actually, I answered a couple of questions, so I'm not sure if there is any more questions.
Here we have, is there information about the financement cost of green microfinance product, green microinsurance product, green line of finance with concessional conditions? What are the costs for microfinance institutions?
Okay, there is another question here. UNOPS. UNOPS actually it's a partner, not a donor.
Wait. So as we will have participants joining, listening to the recording, and they cannot see the chat with the questions, let's go question by question. One is about the costs of green microfinance products. And perhaps this is a question to everyone from Al Ittihad Microfinance Program, Al Amal Bank, also SFD. If you have some calculations, Al Amal Bank are offering free loans, so free interest loans, but as well it entails some costs from your side. What are your estimations?
Yes, this is actually one of the challenges regarding the green products. But we have, because the segment we're targeting don't prefer the interest on their loan, and to encourage people in rural areas and farmers to let's say, adopt the green or the friendly environmental products. We let's say speak to the dealers and make a partnership with dealers, and this is how we cover our costs. So this is one way that we found to provide the free interest product for our customers. I hope that answered your question.
If I may come in here. So basically, MFIs in Yemen in general will obtain a murabaha rate because what we integrate through MFIs is the Islamic methodology, Sharia compliant products. We'll usually obtain from 1 to 2% per month on any kind of product. They provide that includes the green microfinance.
Please just come closer because I can't hear you. Sorry, I apologize. Yes.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Basically, MFIs in Yemen apply products that are Sharia compliant, meaning Islamic products. And the most compliant or mostly used product is the murabaha. Now, with murabaha, usually MFIs and mostly banks is from 1 to 2% per month on any type of products. That includes green microfinance products. With recent issuance of law in the northern areas of Yemen, there has been kind of a way to work with traders and product providers, and that's what Bandar was actually mentioning earlier. With that also, I'll move on to the second part because there is the microinsurance. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of microinsurance companies towards SMEs in Yemen. There is one that actually, there was an intervention through UNDP, and if I'm not mistaken, it was also with Al Amal Bank, and Bandar can correct me on that, in which SMEs were actually insured on their products, and that's what I think my belief was that it was targeted towards agricultural loans. But what we do have and what we have established in 2017 was the Yemen Loan Guarantee Program. And there was a huge need from SMEs at that time because the kind of collateral that was being provided was either trader kind of collateral, self collateral, or even gold. And a lot of people actually sold their gold. The guarantors were not giving guarantees. And that's when we established that program, just to make sure that that service is being provided to SMEs, and they're able to actually work. They're actually able to obtain loans with and fulfill that process of providing collateral. We're having actually brainstorming within the SMID unit of having microinsurance, because there are two types. There was a study a long time ago on Yemen on the type of microinsurance that could be provided, and the study mentions that the best microinsurance is the life insurance. And that's already being provided through Takaful, a small box within every MFI in which they'll obtain a certain percentage from the loan. In case of a certain death, the loan will be covered. But what's actually needed is the health insurance. We've noticed that a lot of the defaulting loans, behind it is the health issues. Once a client gets sick, he pretty much sells everything. And that's when he defaults on the loans. And that includes the green part, or the green microfinance part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bandara, and thank you, Ahmed. I think that gives a very good overview, also considering Islamic microfinance methodologies and how are you working at disbursing your loans and the costs associated or the efforts associated. We have here another question in regards to, so from Atafik Microfinance from Morocco. Is UNOPS a donor? Which program allows you to get donations for your customers? For Al Bank?
Yes, this project is not based on donations, and this is actually to minimize and reduce the cost of the, let's say, solar systems that we provide to, let's say, vulnerable people, especially in rural areas. So we provide that in a very low cost. And we had a very successful, let's say, project last couple of years. And this is the second phase now. One of the ideas is also to have a pilot project that is for the groundwater utilization using technology. This is one of the challenges that we are facing. We understand that people, when they used to use the diesel or the fuel for their farms, they will be very concerned about the time they, let's say, use the generators and to produce water to the farms. But now with the solar system, it's not under control. That's why it's consuming the groundwater. And now we are trying to find a way also with our partners and using technology, maybe we can, let's say, have a control on the usage of water. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bandar. I hope for Atafik this is clear, the role of UNOPS. And there was a previous question that was remained open, and I think it's not only for Al Bank, but also for the other programs. If you have experience with developing digital microinsurance products to mitigate risk related to green products, or if it's in your plans, have you considered that?
Yes. Actually, this is it's in our plan, and also now there are a lot of areas that need to be improved, and to know how, especially if you could see that the international community and international donors, they're all moving toward climate change and their interventions, and we all try to collect data and so on. What we miss in Yemen maybe more studies and depending on real data on the ground. If we speak about gathering information of all or the impact, I mean, Al-Ittihad showed a very nice and good numbers, and they have measured the impact, which is very great. But this needs to be in more areas, especially that developing the products and moving toward clean energy and maybe recycling and so on, will need more effort from the international donors. This is very important, especially in nowadays. I mean, in Yemen, we all microfinance institutions, SFD and YMN, they all try to do the best practice internationally. We have the most challenging environment actually in Yemen, especially with the current crisis. So data is the main thing that we really need to rely on in designing and developing our, let's say, work and strategy. Also, if you consider for us as a first microfinance bank among the private sector also that developed its internal environmental policies manual. Still, we're trying our best to find a way also to develop our environmental strategy, maybe in the coming next 2 years. But still, as I mentioned earlier, this needs a cooperation or collaboration between all players in the coming next year in Yemen. Thank you.
And even more digital solutions, as
yes, of course,
Nabil was mentioning. Hani from YMN is asking me if how is it possible or how to get access to aid from donors to microfinance institutions who have saved tons of carbon dioxide. And I'll say these spaces showing the work that you are doing, what are the current developments, having an overview of the strategies of different development international financial organizations is a way to understand what are the needs of the local partners, and as well what are the strategies from DFIs and donors to address and see if there are opportunities to develop programs together. I see that from YMN as well, from the microfinance institutions, you have already experience working with multiple international partners. There is no, like for the microfinance sector, there is no platform where it is possible to crowdfund funds or to have direct access to those that are caring about CO2 reductions. But more and more we see from the Green Inclusive Climate Smart Action Group from the European Microfinance Platform, where I'm a co-head of the group, that more investors and DFIs are participating and offering technical assistance. I here an example, Sanat Fund for MSMEs, Technical Assistance Fund. We have assistance from GIZ, as well from ADA, from Luxembourg, from Incofin, from European Investment Bank. There are like different types of investors that are already working in green inclusive finance. So one way is to expose your work, attend also and listen to what are other investors working and technical assistance facilities offering, and also develop a project or plan based on the needs that you have and as well of your clients. Mr. Nabil Kesraoui.
Thank you.
No, thanks to you. Mr. Nabil, you have raised hand. The floor is
Hello,
yours.
Natalia. Thank you for giving me the floor. And thank you for all the speakers about the valuable input regarding this webinar. Just a question. I will and have an intervention related to the fund mobilization. So all the focus of the different speaker was focused on the product and the demand and the offer side of MFIs. And we know that the effort of giving loans without interest and without hamish murabaha, like said brother Ahmed, is very important to do this framework with the suppliers as well as with MFIs. But there is also effort to be done with donors if we can motivate them to structure, for example, green bonds or to structure green sukuk that can be dedicated to green microfinance or to sustainability. And you know that right now all financial institutions are invited to report their ESG reports. And I think that we can do the framework with local or international donors to support this sub-industry of green microfinance. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nabil. And indeed, like there are several opportunities for institutions, especially in Yemen. They have grabbed those opportunities and are very aware, and also with experiences despite of, or also as you mentioned, the war has opened a door for developing products and attending those needs. And I was very curious from Mr. Baisa to listen about that shift to sustainable agriculture, which we will listen in the next webinars, the need for more specialized support for microfinance institutions in regards to sustainable agriculture. I'm curious if I see here if you because you have been tracking like that shift of green loans. I saw in your graph that you shared that you have first a high demand, then it has decreased, but steadily it has been growing, and at the same time shifting from renewable energies, not because there is no demand, but rather because they already have, and now having needs for more sustainable agriculture practices. Can you reflect more on that, Mr. Baisa, in that trend?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Natalia. It is, well, in Yemen, the food security part of it is quite crucial. And that's why the shift was highly towards agriculture. The number of loans, yes, has reduced, but the amount of those loans has tripled. And that's because agricultural loans are actually higher in terms of the price of it compared to household loans or household green loans. The shift also that we're looking into, especially in the agriculture sector, is what comes beside, let's say, solar pumps. Because also with solar pumps, there could be a high use of water wasted or where water is used for agriculture. And that's where aligning our, we're working with the MFIs in terms of any client who has such kind of solar power should have kind of drip irrigation, would have a greenhouse, and so on. That's in terms of agriculture sector. In terms of the household side or the such kind of, let's say, products and services kind of loans, I think what's needed in Yemen is the different type of business ideas that could be used and utilized in order for people to kind of have some sort of income. We've been looking, we know that there is a lot of recycling industries in Yemen, or let's say manufacturers, in which, because we see people actually in the ground collecting, the bottles and so on, and then they would sell it for a certain price, and then that will be recycled. But how could be such kind of recycling interventions or businesses be transferred towards people, people starting such kind of businesses and expanding on that? And I think that's what we lack in Yemen, the ideas, the type of interventions that could be supported, and there could be startups, and in terms and this is quite, especially with startups, the rate of failure is quite high, and understanding if FIs are sustaining from it, because the risk of failure is quite high. And that's a worldwide percentage that mainly startups are have high percentage of failure. And I think that's where the non-financial part comes in. That's where training providers should come in and train on that and make sure that this business owner could reach to a certain level where he pushes that failure point and could continue and take loans and expand on that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks to you, Mr. Baeza. I think it's exactly those that development is what we were looking today to learn, and also from the other countries. We have participants from Morocco, from Tunisia, from Egypt, Lebanon, Palestine. For sure, this information is very, very useful also to understand and to reflect on their sector. While I see thank you notes, and I don't see if there are like more questions from the audience. I'm sharing here the information on the next sessions that we are going to have. The next one next week on Tunisia, and then we will have Jordan the 20th of September, and also participants from Nigeria as well. And then the 4th on Palestine, after Egypt, Morocco, and the last one on Lebanon. So in each of the sessions, we will be exploring, as today, the results of the study, the work of the Microfinance Network, or in the case of Tunisia, of the Autorité de Contrôle de la Microfinance, the regulator entity in the country, and then as well the overview and insights from consultants. If you have some minutes left, I'd like to share the videos that from Al-Amal Bank have been shared, and as well from Al Ittihad's microfinance program. For those that need to leave, we will upload this recording and the presentation so that you have access to the materials that have been shared. And if you have any comment, or if someone would like to moderate while I share screens, please feel free here to take the microphone. Everybody very curious here, Mr. Hisham Bandar. Just give me 1 minute. I'm there.
You will play the video?
Yes, I'm going to play the video.
Great.
Okay, it is a very short video, but we have here some experiences to share that I think it's a good opportunity.
And this is thank you, and for you also, and Sanad, because we are a part of the workshop last year.
Yeah.
So this actually motivated us to move forward toward developing our environmental policy manual.
Yeah, so this is a very good feedback for us, that such a study, such workshop are inspiring microfinance institutions in taking action. We have had, after that workshop, we had a conference in Sanabel. We have been supporting, working close with different microfinance institutions, with Atafik Microfinance as well. We will be working very soon with other microfinance institutions in Egypt. So we are very happy that these conversations are having some influence.
There is no sound, yes.
No?
There is no sound, Natalia. No. Yes, it's
So sorry to know that there was no sound, although luckily it was just a music and not information. I think this is the most important part. This is the work that you have done developing your environmental policy manual. Bandar, if you want to say some words while I look to the next video that I wanted to share.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think it would be good if you can share how was the process of developing the environmental policy manual.
Yes, of course.
We saw that it was entailed several meetings with the management.
Yes, actually, it was a great journey, actually, for me personally. Because when we started thinking about green microfinance and products, we asked ourselves, are we green? This is the first question we asked ourselves. So we started by doing more research, and we decided to look for partners actually at the beginning to support us and to provide us a technical assistant and so on. But unfortunately, that was about to take a very long time. So we started by partnering with Hulm Akhdar. They are working in Yemen since 2012. And they are the experts regarding anything comes regarding environmental policies and other services that they provide. So as you could see that we had in the videos different sessions. Actually, it's more than for 8 months or 9 months we were developing the manual. And still there will be an improvement. Still, we will need to reflect that into our systems, our banking systems, also about the risk assessments and impact assessments and so on. So there's a lot of areas that need to be improved. But we are proud of this stage that we have reached. And hopefully that we will continue, and we will share our experience and also our lessons learned with others through the webinars and different ways. Thank you very much. Over to you.
No, thanks to you. And Taha Iskandar, I'm sorry that we couldn't offer the sound of the video. It was just a music, as I said. But
it was a green music. It was a very nice green music.
Yeah, thank you, Bandar, for explaining how was the work, and that it has been a first step. I understand that the environmental policy manual is just one part of your future environmental policy, environmental strategy that you will have. So that's also good news that you are planning that.
Yes.
And then I have here the last video from Al Ittihad Microfinance program. Just bear with me some seconds. And thank you to everyone for that kind feedback, for all your positive comments, for participating and being very engaged. Let's see now, tell me if this has also sound or if there is no sound at all. Sound?
No.
No sound?
The videos for 10 minutes.
في هذه الأرض حيث نعيش جميعا 70 دولة
Now
مهددة
we hear it.
وهذا يعني موت الحياة. اليمن هي إحدى
You still see? Big
هذه
screen?
الدول والتي كانت تسمى بأرض الجنتين أصبحت الأراضي الزراعية فيها تشكل نسبة 2.4 من مساحتها، حيث يعتمد 3/4 سكانها في معيشتهم على الزراعة. تستهلك الزراعة نحو 90% من المياه، مما أدى إلى استنزاف المياه الجوفية، وهنا بدأت ملامح التصحر تنهش في وجه هذه الأرض. وفي محافظة أبين جنوبي اليمن شهدوا حوض دلتا أبين تدهورا في مستوى الزراعة خلال عامي 2021 و2022، ويرجع ذلك لأسباب عدة. أولها نقص الوعي المجتمعي للزراعة وأهميتها وأضرارها، ازدياد الآبار واندثار قنوات الري في الدلتا، الأشجار الزاحفة، المبيدات الحشرية، الأسمدة غير الطبيعية. كان واجب علينا أن نتدخل ونساهم في حل هذه المشكلة التي ستصبح جريمة في قتل الحياة على المدى البعيد.
استخدام العنصر البشري للبيئة المحيطة فينا بشكل خاطئ وبشكل غير صحيح. يعني علاج هذا الموضوع بالنسبة للصحر هو عملية سهلة جدا. أولا نحن نمنع قطع الأشجار الخضراء، وهذا قانون موجود ومفروض يفعل هذه القوانين بمنع قطع الأشجار الخضراء مهما كانت. أيضا زيادة المشاريع الزراعية، مثلا في حفر الآبار بشكل جيد، مثلا عدم إحراق الأشجار الخضراء، عدم إحراق الغابات، عدم إجراء الرعي الجائر. أيضا الرعي الجائر، مثلا الراعي يسرح غنمه مع بعض ومعه فاسه ويجي يحصل لك يعني شجرة ويانس يقتل الشجرة ويقطع لها وهكذا. دمرنا البيئة من حولنا. إنسان عنده أرض واقفة من العمل يعني يسيبها يتفرج عليها خلاص، يقول لك ما بستسقي ما بروي ما فيش مي، وهذه مشكله. لكن حتى لو ما فيش مي احرث الارض هذه وخليها ترتاح، واعتقد انه هذا بنخفف من عمليه التصحر الا بنقضي عليه بشكل دائم.
وجود الوعي يشكل منهجا صحيحا لتقويم الممارسات الخاطئة التي تسلب الحياة من أرضنا. قد تحفر قبرا بهيئة بئرا، حينما يكون ذلك بشكل عشوائي ستجف المياه بعد استنزافها وستزهق روح هذه الأرض بعد جفافها.
كنا نواجه صعوبات كثير خاصة في الري بالغمر. أكبر صعوبة نواجهها الوقت. ثانيا الإسراف بالماء. ثالثا أخذ كمية من المياه كبيرة والتسميد يأخذ تسميد كثير لما يكون الري بالغمر. كنا في زي هذه المساحة مغطين في 6 أيام 7 أيام إذا كانت صعب الري بالغمر. في الزراعة كنا نعاني من ارتفاع مادة الديزل حتى وصل سعر البرميل إلى 350 ألف ريال. علينا صعوبات كثيرة، كنا لا نستطيع الحراثة، لا نستطيع الزراعة، لا نستطيع حتى في استخراج الماء للشرب الإنسان ولا الموت. المشاكل الزراعية التي تعاني منها الزراعة في بلادنا، وعلى وجه الخصوص في مجال الحفر العشوائي للآبار واستنزاف المياه الجوفية. طبعا كثرت في هذه البلاد في حدود عندنا في دلتا أبين أكثر من 600 منظومة للطاقة الشمسية، وفي نفس الوقت أيضا تستخدم على مدى حوالي تقريبا 8 أو إلى 10 ساعات يوميا، يعني من 85 ألف فدان تقريبا. أنا أتكلم عن دلتا أبين بالذات. تقريبا إلى الآن اللي معانا المساحة اللي شغالة أقل من 40,000 فدان، وهذا مشكلة كبيرة جدا. ضف إلى ذلك أنه عندنا في هذه المنطقة بالذات يعني تفتيت الأراضي الزراعية، وهذا التفتيت الأرض الزراعية يولد لنا حفر آبار عشوائية. في القانون المفروض يكون بين كل بير وبير 500 متر، يعني نصف كيلو تقريبا. من ضمن حلول الصحر هو حفر البرك هذه أو توفير البحيرات هذه وتغذيتها بالمياه الجوفية والاحتفاظ بها إلى حين المواسم. أيضا حراسة الأرض بشكل دائم.
ماذا سيحدث إن قمت بشرب المياه أكثر مما ينبغي؟ نعم، إنه كذلك، وأيضا سينقطع نفسك وقد تموت إثر ذلك. كذلك هي الأرض إن غمرتها بالمياه.
مشكلة معنا اتجهنا إلى الاتحاد التمويل الأصغر، فما قصروا مشكورين، ساعدونا في الحصول على شبكة ري بالتنقيط اللي تغير أن مساحة سقينا مساحة أكثر، زرعنا محاصيل أكثر. بدأنا ننوع، كنا أول حاجة معتمدين على العلف بس، كنا نزرع في المحاصيل العلفية فقط. الآن بدأنا نزرع المحاصيل النقدية زي الحبحب زي الخضروات، محاصيل نقدية. استفدنا كثير، تغيرت الأسواق. حتى كان في مجهود الماء، كنا نجيب الماء من بعيد، ما كان متوقف المشروع المضخة. الآن الماء متوفر، حتى بعض الأسماء حتى أنت فتحتها، حتى الجهال بدأوا يدرسوا.
العلم يتطور يوما بعد يوم، وأصبحت التكنولوجيا تسهل على المزارعين عملهم وإنتاجهم بديلا عن الطرق التقليدية المتعبة.
والري بالغمر يعتبر من الممارسات العشوائية القديمة التي تضر بالمزارع وبالأرض نفسها، وتقلل من قيمة الأرض الغذائية في الأرض. كل ما زادت كمية المياه في الأرض كل ما ارتفعت في الملوحة، كل ما قلت العناصر الغذائية. وهذا من أكبر الأسباب في السبب في دهور الأرض. نستخدم السماد في القطارات، الفدان اللي تستخدمها كيس تستخدمها أقل شيء 10 كيلو 5 كيلو، لأن المياه بالتنقيط في أماكن محددة. قللنا من تكاليف المياه، من تكاليف الديزل، تكاليف العمالة. زرعنا الخضروات، زرعنا الفواكه، زرعنا الأعلاف. بعدين حتى ندخل خزانات اللي يستفيدوا منها الناس، الماء الشرب في المنطقة. عندنا خزان 3000 لتر. الحمد لله بدل يعني الحياة تعود إلى مجاريها. أخذنا التمويل الأول، وهي عبارة عن شبكة أنابيب 4 إنش. ثم أخذنا التمويل الثاني بذور، والتمويل الثالث، والتمويل الرابع هي شبكة الطاقة الشمسية. والآن نفكر في التمويل الرابع، وهي أخذ حراثة اللي تعتبر هي نصف العمالة في الأرض. وهذه المشكلة اللي نعانيها الأخيرة هذه، وإن شاء الله نتوفق فيها. ونشكر الاتحاد لما يقدموه للمزارعين من التسهيلات في المعاملات، تسهيلات في أوراق الضمانات، ولهم كل الشكر. ضف إلى ذلك هناك عندنا مشكلة كبيرة، وهو زحف أشجار المسكيت اللي يسموها عندنا محليا بالسيسبان. وهذه هي من أخطر أنواع الأشجار التي تؤثر أيضا على البيئة وعلى الإنسان وعلى الحيوان، لدرجة أنه بعض الرعيان رغم أنهم يستفيدوا من قرون السيسبان هذه، لكنهم أيضا خسرانين حاجات كثيرة.
في قانون الحياة ستتعثر وستواجه الكثير من العقبات، وحتى تصل إلى النجاح ينبغي عليك أن تنتزع جذور هذه العثرات من أجل النجاح.
أنا كنت أشتغل حطب، كنت أحطب وكنت أصلح بفحم، كنت فحم، وتعبت وعانيت، ويداتي فوقه والشوك بعثني وغطبني، وكنت أعاني كثير. وقدمت للاتحاد التومين وحصلت على منشار. والآن كنت أقطع بالفاس، كنت أقطع شجرة شجرتين. الآن الحمد لله أقطع بالمنشار 5 شجرات 4 شجرات. كنت يعني كان بالفاس ماشي دخل كثير، معي المنشار الآن الحمد لله بدخل دخل كثير، ويكفينا أنا وأسرتي، يكفينا الآن الحمد لله. سهل علي العمل وسهل علي، وقطع علي سهل الأشجار وصلحها يعني الحمد لله.
ومع تفاقم الأشجار الضارة التي أدت إلى مشكلة التصحر، هكذا عالجها برنامج الاتحاد بالمنشار الكهربائي للقضاء على هذه الأشجار. كذلك خلق فرصة عمل للكثير من الحطابين. تعد أهم العوامل المسببة للتصحر هي عدم اهتمام المزارع لأرضه، لكن إن لم تكن هناك دولة أو مجتمع يهتم بحال هؤلاء المزارعين الذي نحن نعيش مما تنتجه أيديهم وأرضهم، فسنموت معهم وستموت الحياة. لنكن روح الحياة.
Wow.
Great film.
Yeah, definitely. And a very good way to close this webinar session. I still have questions about the chainsaw financing, but it's because of there are trees that they shouldn't grow. Is that the point? Those trees shouldn't grow, and they are giving income to the person, but they are not like this activity is not causing the certification. I was curious about that.
I think that was the yes.
Yeah. Okay, but in any case, for those that were new to the to the specific challenges in Yemen, that video gave us a real view of what is happening in agriculture sector in the rural areas and the challenges that they have, and how can microfinance programs help their clients. Still not sure if that financing is helping. It helps a business, but not biodiversity, not environment, but open to discuss. Colleagues, partners, friends, thank you very much for your participation today. We will be sharing end of this week the invitation to the webinar of Tunisia for next week, and as well the link for revisiting this webinar, the recording and translated presentations. To my co-panelists and hosts of the session, thank you very much for your contribution. You have given a very good and detailed overview of your work, and hope that this is also an opportunity for further networking and opportunities for your institutions.
Thank you so much for you and for everyone, especially the interpreters, Roberto, I guess, and yes, and thank you for everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much to Rafa, to Roberto Elong for your work, your energies. And now we have time to get lunch, energize again, and digest all the inputs that we have received today.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
you all.
Thank you.
And see you next
Thank you,
week.
Natalia. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.